a little behind the scenes. This is my second attempt at reviewing this book. My first one was a little messy because this book, it's kind of weird. The Greatest Night, The Remarkable Life of William Marshall, The Power Behind Five English Thrones. I was a little frustrated with this book for like the first half because we didn't get a lot about William Marshall. It was more just like a general history book about England, France, King Henry II, his son Henry III. And William only just kind of popped up here and there. We got a small little tale about when he was a kid. We got some stories about when he was on the tournament circuit. But overall, he just wasn't very prominent. He was more just kind of like a side character who just would get mentioned, like, oh yeah, and Marshall was probably here during this point, or and we can assume that Marshall was here at this point, and he was probably here in this meeting. A lot of guessing, a lot of guessing. Now, to be fair, a lot of the information from this book comes from another book that was written about his life 800 years ago. So there's going to be some skips in the timeline, not going to be a whole lot of detail, which is understandable. But I just want to warn you, if you're thinking about picking this up, the first half is more just like a general history book that he happens to be writing along with. As time goes along, as he gets older, as he rises up in the ranks, getting closer to each successive king, then it becomes more interesting because we actually get to hear more about him and how he's involved with things. So who's this book for? If you're a diehard history fan, you're going to love this. If you're a casual history fan like me, who's just looking for a good, fun story about somebody in history, the end was better than the beginning. So if you like history and you think you can push through it, you can push through it. I almost set this down a couple times because I was just getting frustrated. I'm like, I wanted to hear about this guy and I'm not getting that. But I pressed on and the ending was worth it. Hearing about the end of his life, what he was still doing even as a 70-year-old, charging into battle. There's a story later on, which who knows how true it is, about him charging into battle, clubbing some guy up the head and getting like one last kill or one last victory as an old man. So that was kind of cool and good to see. But yeah, it is an interesting look at how somebody who happened to survive a lot, he was in a lot of battles on the losing side often, and he even has a tale where he gets injured pretty severely. And I'm reading this, I'm like, how in the world does somebody back then survive that? So that was pretty good. You do learn some information. Like I'd know nothing about Richard the Lionheart. So to hear his tales and especially how he died was pretty interesting. This is happening during the time of some of the Crusades. So there's a portion when William goes to Jerusalem to take part in that. And then, well, again, Lionheart goes on the Crusades. But you do get to learn about some of the more interesting kings, like King John, which I don't know. You'll have to help me. Was that the same King John? I'm assuming so. The same King John from Robin Hood. Because he mentioned a few times in this book how no other king was ever named John because this King John was so bad. So I'm thinking, I was like, oh, this might be the Robin Hood King John. So yeah, the book does get better and better the more you read it. A really interesting guy, especially it gets a little sad because he dedicated his whole life. This is a man, they talk about chivalry, how a knight should act, but then his just loyalty to whoever he gives his loyalties to. Every king, he says, I'm following you. Or even like Henry III, who wasn't king but was going to fight his father, Henry II, he said, I'm loyal to you. And so even though he was on the losing side, the winning side saw that. It's like, this is a man who's loyal to the crown, who's loyal to his country, and they kept raising him up. Every time he lost a king or was on the losing side, the next person who came in says, all right, I see how you are. Can you give your loyalty to me and help me, raise up England? And he did. And he just kept getting up till basically, and if you don't want to hear any spoilers, then cut out for a few seconds. When there's one king who's so young, like 9 years old, they basically name him Guardian of the Realm. and he's pretty much acting king for a few years. This guy who came from nothing is basically king of England because the real king is too young to really do anything or know anything. So that was very, very interesting. It's very sad at the end that he's in his 70s when he decides to retire. Like 72, he says, okay, I've had enough. I'm 72. But he only gets maybe a year or a year and a half before he dies. He really doesn't get to enjoy it. And even after that, he has 3 or 4 sons who all died prematurely. So everything he's worked for, all his lands, the fortresses, they get passed down to his daughters after his son dies. But of course, the daughter marries other men who then get the property. And then basically, I think it was 20 or 30 years after he died, everything he worked for is gone. Not in his family anymore, at least not owned by men in his family. So it's kind of sad. Kind of sad. It's like, yeah, William, you fought all your life, but don't pay attention what happens afterwards because it may not have been worth it. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about this. Like I said, it was frustrating for a while, and I almost put it down several times. But he is an interesting character in history. If you're a casual fan, maybe just check out a YouTube video. Don't worry about sitting here trying to read this. I did read it in 5 days. Really pushed through the last couple days. So yeah, up to you. Think if you can handle it, what your fondness of history is. But yeah, that's that. Let me know down below what you thought about it. Let me know other history books, whether they're hardcore history like this stuff or just tales about certain people in the past. That review I put up about The Wager, I love stuff like that. So if you have another one like that, please recommend it to me. I'm thinking I'm going to jump into some lighter fantasy here just to clear my head a bit with all those names and dates. But I'll see you next time.